morning. It's Mr. Kimball again. We're going to talk about wrapping up our science fair report today. I've got a couple things that I'm going to show you, so let's go ahead and get to the video. Okay, here we go. I've got a couple things open. I'm going to have my Canvas open to the science fair report page, and that kind of has this list that I'm going to be working off from. It says turn in final report. This is going to be the rough draft. I have my cover page, table of contents, variables page, materials and procedures, research paper, tables, graphs, analysis, conclusion, and bibliography. That's it. Right here, there will be a place to turn that in, and then once it's turned in, we're going to spend a lot of time reviewing and editing and looking at other people's papers. This gives you an idea of what is a good job and what is not such a good job, and maybe how to help some of your friends out, and even to get some ideas about where to help yours out. Okay, so one of the things in here that we really haven't talked a lot about in class yet is this analysis and conclusion. Okay, so if you haven't checked out the analysis and conclusion part, there is a link up here that goes to an assignment page for the analysis conclusion. Okay, go ahead and read through that so you know how to do it. If you have questions, there's a video right here just above how to complete your analysis and conclusion. It's me talking through the experiment, basically reading it to you. Okay, there's no place to turn this in. This is going to be done on your final report, so it'll get looked at when you turn in your final report. Okay, so check out this next video about how to kind of format your final report, and I'll probably make a separate video for how to do table of contents. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through our final report. I have opened my folder here, and I've opened up my science fair final report. We're going to go through all the pieces to make sure you have everything you need for Monday. Okay, so Monday the 24th, we're going to submit this thing again. Yes, again. But every time we submit it, we add something to it. Okay, so we're going to submit this again, and we'll share these with each other, and we'll do some editing, and we'll get some ideas about how to fix our papers, and then we'll spend about a week fixing it, and then hopefully right after Thanksgiving, we will have a completed, polished final draft. Okay, so my cover page, make sure you have your title up in the upper left hand corner. Make sure you have your name and period in the upper right hand corner. This is in your header. It should be in the format of the effect of whatever independent variable is on your dependent variable. Okay. Down here in the middle of my cover page, I have my title. The effect of my independent on my dependent should be the same as up in my header. By, don't forget by, please, your name, your period, written just like this. If yours doesn't look like mine, fix it. Okay? And I've tried very hard to center this. If I kind of zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see my cover page, how I've centered those words in the middle. Okay? I also have a page number that I inserted. If I come over here to insert, page number, I inserted that at the bottom of the page. Okay? Scrolling down, I'm going to look at my variables and hypothesis page. It has my question, hypothesis, independent variable, dependent variable, control variable. If you're missing one of these things, you need to add that. Notice that each one of my entries here is a complete sentence. So it's not just salt for my independent variable, it's the amount of salt that is added to water. That has a capital letter and a period. Notice my subheadings are all bold. They're all underlined. They all start with a capital letter. They all have a colon at the end. Okay. Notice that my control variables are specific and they have bullets. Let's keep scrolling to my materials and procedure page. Again, my subheadings are identical to the subheadings here. Okay, they need to be bold, underlined, capital letter, colon at the end. My materials are listed in very specific, how many I need of them, and they're bulleted. Remember, you can access your bullets right here. So if I unbulleted this or bulleted it, that's where you do that. The procedure starts on page 3. It might go further than that. And I've indented these, and I did not copy and paste these. Some of you have copied and pasted them, and they kind of look like junk, because when you copy and paste, it tries to keep the same formatting as the website, but inevitably it fails. And notice that mine does go on to the next page, and that's totally fine. Some of you have long procedures, and it goes on to actually 3 or 4 different pages. Okay, that's totally fine. I'm going to leave the rest of that page blank. On my next blank page, I'm starting the top of my page here with a research paper. Some of you start with all these spaces in here, and that just doesn't look very nice. So put your cursor above your subheading and make sure you get to the top of your page. And I even actually like to go to the next page so that I kind of go way up here, and then I hit return a couple times to try and get all the way down so I know that I am exactly at the top of the page, just like that. Okay, I have 3 nice paragraphs. They should be about 10 sentences each. Some of you still have not done your research paper. Do it. Indent each paragraph. Notice I did not label each paragraph, paragraph 1, 2, and 3. You don't need to do that. I can tell that there's 3 paragraphs there because I've indented. Okay. The next clean page after your research paper, you should have the table. Again, same exact style of subheading. All of my subheadings are the same. Okay. This page is going to be completely blank. You're going to have the option of printing out your tables from the spreadsheet we made and taping them or gluing them onto this page, which is not a bad idea. Or we can take this page and we'll recycle it, and we'll just slide in the page that we printed off, and we'll handwrite the page number so that it fits. Either way is going to be fine. At the top of the next page, I'm going to have my graph or graphs. I might have a couple tables or graphs. That's totally fine. Okay. Now these should be pasted in right from the spreadsheet, and they paste really well. So copy and paste those in. They're going to paste just like a picture. Okay. At the top of the next page, so we're just moving right along, you have the analysis and the conclusion. I'd like these on the same page. They're pretty short paragraphs comparatively to the paper. You should be able to fit 2 semi-long paragraphs on one page. Okay. If you do have a really long conclusion, that's totally fine, and it just needs to be complete. So as long as you're answering those questions and those bullets that I've spelled out in the analysis and conclusion assignment, you should be fine. Okay, I think the way I counted them up, there should be 12 sentences for the analysis and about 12 sentences to the conclusion. So the way mine are written, mine are a little bit short. Okay, this is an example. I just tried to stick something down here so you would kind of get an idea of what it looked like. Okay, mine are short. My analysis is talking only about my data. If you actually take a minute and read this, you're going to see a bunch of numbers in there. I'm talking about my maximum, my minimum, my trends, generally what I observed during the experiment. I don't go into my reasonings in the analysis. If you read my conclusion, you'll notice that I state whether or not my hypothesis is correct, and I actually restate my hypothesis so that I don't have to go all the way back up to the beginning of my paper and try and figure out what my hypothesis was. Okay, so please restate that hypothesis in the conclusion. And if it's wrong, restate your hypothesis so that it is correct. And so it would sound like my hypothesis was incorrect, period. I would need to change my hypothesis to this. If something, 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 then something, something, something. Okay, so if it is wrong, there's no problem with it being wrong. You can't fudge your data. Your data is what it is. And just adjust your hypothesis at the end so that if someone were to do this experiment again, they would start out with the correct hypothesis. Okay, and then I go into some kind of tie-in about my research. In my research, I talked about how global warming is changing the amount of salt in the ocean because ice caps are melting. There's more water, less salt, so the concentration is changing. Well, that's a big deal for the things that live in the ocean. Okay, so this experiment is pretty important, even though it's fairly simple. The egg is an analogy for an animal in the salt water, and the salt concentrations are analogies of different bodies of water around the world. Okay, so tie that in and make that interesting. Your experiment is a good experiment. This is going to try and show why your experiment was meaningful. Okay, and then the very final thing that you're going to have is the bibliography. Okay, and there's another video if you go up further on the scientific method and science fair page, you'll find a video about how to do your bibliography. Okay, and so I've listed my bibliography here with my hanging indent, and they're in alphabetical order. Okay, and that's it. We have, after this, if you go back up to the top, we actually will be adding a table of contents, and that's going to be pretty simple. So on the next one, I'm going to show you how to add that table of contents. Okay, so make sure you check out that. We will go over it in class, but I know some of you are going to be absent because it's Thanksgiving break. Okay, so we're wrapping up our science fair report. Now there's 3 things here that we're actually turning in. We're going to have a science fair report. You're going to have your science fair logbook, so that's all that working scratch paper, chicken scratch if you want, that we've been kind of going through. We didn't use all the pages, we used some of the pages, so you need to turn that in. And then finally, after Christmas, and maybe even before Christmas, we'll see where we are with time, but we have a PowerPoint to get done, and that's going to be our presentation. So we aren't going to be making a board, we're going to be making a presentation on Google PowerPoint. Okay, so that's going to wrap up this video. Shows you kind of the pieces of the science fair report, and we need this done by Monday the 24th, and we will add the table of contents then. Okay, good luck, keep working.